Hey everyone, welcome back to Legacy Builders. On today's episode, I want to share with you exactly how we built one of the top performing agency in our industry with more than $300 million worth of results for our clients, our partners, and for our own campaigns. This all started at one of the lowest points in my life, literally right after I lost everything, both relationally and in business. It felt like a swift kick to the you know what. And in that dark moment, that dark place of pain, God spoke to me and I knew what I had to do. This episode dives deep into that story. Let's go.
So Bryan, on the last episode, we talked about how you built up a several $1 million company and then really it was taken from you. You know, you were forced out and you kind of lost everything and you found yourself in this moment where you went back home to really like process, recalibrate, and figure out what was next in the midst of this season that you realize like there's a lot of pain. This hurts. This is frustrating. I'm struggling, but I have to move forward. What was next for you?
Yeah. So like we talked about in the last episode, right? I lost the girl that I thought I was going to marry. Right. That was a devastating blow. Simultaneously, within a few weeks, I lost a $500,000 a month business partnership, which was another blow, and really had to start from zero again and really go back to, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Right. And at this point in my journey, this is something that I'd become familiar with. Right. Is really having the ability to pivot. I think it's important as an entrepreneur that you embrace those moments of pivoting, even though they suck when you're going through them. For me, it really helped to lean on God and then lean on the wisdom of some of my colleagues. Without that support, I don't know that I would have been able to move forward, quite frankly. So I got home, I woke up, I had that realization, right? Do what you know works. And really that was about being an affiliate, selling and promoting other people's stuff that I support, kind of like the brand of ClickFunnels or Tony Robbins or, these type of people who I've had a great experience of going through their programs, right? So really affiliate with things that I resonate with, not everything, but affiliate with certain products and services, okay, like ClickFunnels or like Tony Robbins or like Dean Graziosi, like I've supported over the years. And then offer services, okay, around my expertise. And that was a huge revelation. Now, at the time, ClickFunnels wasn't in existence. So the platform that I promoted a lot at that time and I was a top affiliate for, sold thousands and thousands of copies, was for a program called Optimize Press.
And was that similar to what we see with ClickFunnels now, or what kind of a product was that?
Yeah, it's real similar. It just, you had to duct tape a lot more together.
Yeah.
So the solution that ClickFunnels produced was really to eliminate duct taping. Unfortunately, you still have a little bit of duct taping that has to go on with different integrations. But as it evolves, it's getting better. It's certainly about 100 times better than Optimize Press, because Optimize Press at the time was generally like WordPress templates, and they all look the same. In fact, I remember creating an ad talking about how, everybody's funnel looked the same. And it's kind of like going into a club after buying a nice outfit, and you're going out to meet with your friends, and every dude in the place has the same shirt on. And that's really what it felt like at that time. It felt like everyone had this. They were using the same funnel platform, and they were using the same templates, and it just, everybody blended together. It was terrible. And so for me, what happened was when I had that revelation or prompting, I immediately got to work building the website, because I knew deep in my core that that affiliate marketing works for me. That's how I got into this industry. Outside of that, I knew that there's always going to be a need for services. There's always going to be a need for doing the work for people, because quite frankly, people don't want to do the work themselves, nor should they, in my opinion. If they don't have the expertise in that area, then why would they try to do that specific function, right? Like advertising or marketing or building funnels or any of those things. If if you're not the expert at it, it's probably not a good idea to try to do it yourself, because you'll wear too many hats and you will spread yourself too thin. And so people realize that. And I knew I was onto something. I just didn't know what it would materialize into. Right. I mean, now sitting here, I mean, it's, a lot. We're much further along than 2013 when I had this revelation in Pennsylvania. The big first problem that I had when I built the site. So my brother and I, we built the site, and literally when we went to go run ads at $15 a day, because that's really all I was willing to risk. I was like, you know what, let's give this a test. Let's spend $15 a day. We'll spend it for 30, 40 days. We'll see how it goes. The first big challenge and hurdle was I went to launch the website with some Google ads around the keywords of optimized press, because you figure if people are looking for optimized press, that means they're trying to build a funnel. If they're trying to build a funnel, there's going to be a segment of that audience that doesn't want to do it themselves, right? So my ads show up, first page of Google, top 1 to 3 spots, and it's positioned as a truly done for you. So first challenge before I even got there was I typed my, the URL into the browser at the time, and all that came up was a white screen of death. And I'm like, was freaking out, right? I mean, as anyone would. You just spent 3 days slaving away on this thing, spending 8-10 hour days, slaving away on the copy and the images and the testimonials and the products and all the different elements of a website, right? And I couldn't figure it out. I mean, it was there the night before, and now all of a sudden it wasn't there. And so I contacted my server company. I said, hey guys, do you know what's going on? Like, something up with the servers, like what's happening? And it's like, oh, you didn't get the email? I'm like, no, I didn't get the memo or the email. What are you talking about? Like, oh, anything that's not on this, that wasn't saved or backed up on the server within the last 2 weeks is gone. We did a hard update across the whole server. I was like, oh man, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I didn't get a memo. I didn't get a text. I didn't get an email. I didn't get a call. I didn't get anything. What happened? And like, well, sorry, there's nothing we can do about it at this point. It's gone. And you know what? That was truly a blessing in disguise, even though at the moment it didn't feel that way, right? A lot of people would give up. For me, it was really like a kick to the gut, but I knew deep down, this is something I had to produce. I just knew deep down, I had this compelling gut feeling that it was absolutely essential that I launch this. And so we sat down again, we built out every page, except for this time it was actually better, right? Typically when you do things a second time, they're typically better than the first time you do it, right? That applies to anything you're doing. And so really that was a blessing in disguise, because it made us think through every page and the entire process that we capture leads, that we, have conversations with people. And so, so that was amazing. Started spending $15 a day. And what was amazing was the very first week we started advertising, I started getting people hitting us up on live chat. They called us, they put in requests for quotes. And literally we started generating business that very first week with literally just a $15 a day budget, which is kind of crazy to think that the budget was so low and that was still able to produce something.
But yeah, it's like the early days when like Gary Vee talks about buying the word wine on Google AdWords for like a few pennies. There's like a few cents to buy the word wine, where it's just the benefit of being early.
Well, and the thing about it is, this was not Google. This wasn't cheap Google traffic either. So I started Google PPC back in the day when 2006, when, clicks were super cheap. In 2013, clicks were actually pretty competitive. It was like $1.50 a click.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was getting a ton of clicks. Right. It was just a matter of getting the right traffic, getting the right clicks. I mean, you think about it, $1.50 a click over $15, you're not getting many clicks, but the clicks you're getting are very, very strategic. They're actually looking for what it is that you're offering.
Right.
And so we started experiencing huge wins. I then decided, okay, after that first 30 days, I started having affiliate revenue come in. I started having service revenue come in for the agency. And at that time we were, there was no real process in the agency. It was just, what do you need help with? Okay, we can do it. And here's the price. It was really, it felt like wild, wild west, right? It's just like, okay, you want this? Okay, great. Here's the quote. Boom. You want this? Okay, great. Boom. Here's the quote. what I ended up doing was the affiliate marketing actually took off and was paying for all the advertising. So imagine this for a minute. You're spending money on Google ads or Facebook ads or wherever you're spending advertising revenue, and you're self-liquidating that advertising before you even service your clients, right? So that's what was happening. And at the end of the day, any campaign you run, that's what it's always about, right? Where do you break even? Where do you and then where do you profit, right? Where in your process does it allow you to pay for all of your advertising, right? And until you get there, you can't profit. So thankfully, at that moment in time, all the affiliate revenue was paying for all the ads, which really wasn't a lot. I mean, it's $450 a month. I mean, it's pennies in the grand scheme of things now looking back. But at that time where I lost everything. I lost the girl. I lost the $500,000 a month business partnership, which was producing to me over $50,000 a month in income. I had some reserves, but I wasn't, sitting on $1 million in my bank, right? I had to be frugal. I had to be strategic. And then that's when I decided, okay, you know what? I don't really want to be in Pennsylvania anymore. I grew up in Pennsylvania. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go back to California. And then I decided, okay, I'm going back to California. I now can sustain myself again. And I moved back into, La Jolla, rented an apartment right there in the Cove, literally a couple blocks from the beach. And it was amazing. And as soon as I got to San Diego, the girl that I was dating that was unfaithful, we broke up. Our relationship was really, truly transformed, and we became friends. And so one of the things that she said at the time was like, hey, you need to come to this church. I started going to this local church. At the time, it was called C3. Now it's called Awaken, which it went through a huge rebrand, which is cool. One of the guys on my team actually did the whole rebrand of that church. And it's a multi-location church, really amazing church. And one of the head pastors, who is also a top chiropractor in the country. I mean, he sees over 1,000 patients a week in his clinic in San Diego. Him and I started a mastermind, and it was a mastermind around helping men take their lives, their businesses to the next level. And so it was really cool. It almost as if moving back to San Diego and moving to La Jolla and then going to this church, it was like so many good things began to happen. This partnership with this guy, Dr. Matt, was just one of them. I started, number one, surrounding myself with the right people, and then also had this support system around me of other guys who were praying with me and praying for me and really came around me to help me grow as well. So it was really incredible. And then after that, I ended up joining Russell Brunson's mastermind. Okay. And so I joined his mastermind at a point in time when his mastermind was $25,000 to be in his highest level. Now it's something like $150,000. But I joined his mastermind at a time when I was looking because I had an excess, I had abundance, and I had a lot of clients coming in. But I was like, okay, I'm at a place where I really want to scale strategically. And I knew one of those things was to surround myself with other people that are playing at a higher level. Right. So I was with Russell at an event in a certification program that he was hosting. It was a $10,000 certification program.
I remember when they offered that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like one of the first high ticket offers that Russell ever launched. It was around becoming funnel certified using ClickFunnels. And I wasn't even at the first one hacking live. I couldn't make it for some reason, but I was in San Diego, and I had a buddy hit me up who was at the event. He's like, hey man, I think you would love this new offer that Russell just rolled out. It's about being funnel certified. And I was like, oh, let me check in and see if that domain name is available. And it was. Funnelcertified.com was available, and I bought it that minute, literally in that moment. I'm like, I can't believe Russell didn't buy that domain name. That's crazy. Still own it to this day.
That's awesome.
Still have some plans for it, but we'll see what comes to fruition from it. But yeah, so I joined his mastermind, and it was one of the best investments that I could have made at the time. Because, when you're in the picture, it's hard to see and have the right perspective, right? And literally, I came into his mastermind, and I was planning on launching a course teaching people how to sell funnels and be a funnel consultant. That was actually my idea. And I went into the mastermind. It's just something wasn't feeling off. I don't know if you ever felt that way. Like you've got a message, but it feels like there's something missing, or it just needs shifted a little bit in order to sing. And that's where it was. It just needed like some fine tuning in order to really sing right. And at the time, this was about 2014, 2015, nobody had taught how to sell funnels. Like not a soul was teaching how to sell funnels. Funnels were really new. Russell at that time hadn't made it, famous as he has now. More people know about what a funnel is than in 2014 and 2015. Right. And so I was at his mastermind. I said, hey man, what do you think about this idea? I'm thinking about teaching people how to sell funnels and be a funnel consultant. He's like, you know what? He goes, that sounds a lot like one of the offers I created. And we were killing it, doing over 10 million a year, teaching people how to start and run a local marketing services business, but not do any of the work themselves. And I was like, hold on. What do you mean? Like, how does that work? You're going to teach them how to do local marketing,
right?
And then they're not going to do any of the work. Like, that doesn't make any sense. He's like, well, yeah, like we had a team, we did all the work for them. We paid them a commission as an affiliate. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. He's like, yeah, why don't you teach people how to sell funnels and then have them send all the business to you and your team, and then your team can do all the work and you can pay them for generating the leads. I was like, oh man, that's brilliant. So immediately began working on this brand new webinar. And what was amazing about it was we spent $25,000 on Facebook ads and Instagram ads, mainly Facebook. And from that, we generated $300,000 in front end revenue. So we had about 300 people that came on, bought the course for $997. But way more than that, it gave us basically a sales force to the point where I showed them exactly where we advertise, the exact ads we run to get business. And then I showed them and gave them an opportunity to just pass it to us so that we can fulfill it and they can get the commission. And it was incredible. We were during that stint, we ran that for about a year. During that time, we literally we owned almost every Google listing from paid traffic search, because I had all my funnel bosses is what I called them. And that's one of the key secrets to building a tribe is you want to have an identifying statement that they can embrace, right? As a new way of being, where they can shed old identities and old beliefs and take on new beliefs, new mindsets, a new identity. And then they can step into that. In my case, it was being a funnel boss, which the manifestation of that was incredible. There was a Funnel Hacking Live that happened around that time. And I had like literally about 15 people walking around with Funnel Boss shirts on, which was cool. Like, they're not even at my event and they're rocking my gear. And then I even had a guy who did $2 million funnels for clients walking across stage, getting his awards, and he had a Funnel Boss shirt on, which was, I mean, how cool is that, right? Not even my event, and the guy's rocking my gear. So that's how you know you have a good tribe name, is when people rock your gear out and about at other people's events that are technically your competitors. That's technically what happened. So that was amazing. But what happened was I didn't see that there was a path to really scale it. There's only so many salespeople you need, right? The problem for me was I didn't have a way to scale beyond a course and a workshop. I had, I didn't really have much more for them to go into. So if I wanted to raise and train salespeople, then great. That's awesome. I have a path to bring them to me and help and train them up and raise them up and help them to sell funnels. But there was no way for me to move them into, say, a mastermind or a coaching program or the agency, right? Because most of them were really brand new people in the sales industry or network marketing. They're trying to get out of that crummy situation that they're in and into a new opportunity like selling funnels, right? So as I scaled that program, I had a client that came to me named Dr. Todd. And this is when I had a huge revelation. And that revelation allowed my business to just take off like a rocket. I mean, we already had, a nice slow trajectory of growth. But once I had this realization that hit me like a ton of bricks, our business took off and like a rocket. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. And that's when we met this guy, Dr. Todd. So Dr. Todd came in and a little bit about his story is he developed expertise, but he also had a nonprofit. So he had a vision of eradicating waterborne illness in the country of Liberia, which is awesome, right? But beyond that, also bring the gospel to that third world country. And it's apparently one of the places that's really challenging to bring the gospel to. And it's also really challenging to eradicate waterborne illness. So I loved his vision. I loved his intention. I loved the agenda that he had for that. So we said, okay, hey, Todd, well, why don't you launch your expertise online, sell your coaching, consulting, and your services that way, and use that as a way of raising funds to then be able to fund and eradicate waterborne illness. And literally in that moment, I realized when God said to me in 2005 at Liberty University that your purpose is to share your story and help other people to share their story, I realized in that moment that I am doing what it is that I'm called to do. Why I was saved from death in 2003 was the reason why I was here now developing this expertise around advertising, selling, and marketing online. So that was really the moment, the defining moment where I had resolve around my soul's purpose, right? And what happened really for me, and I believe it'll happen for you when you have that resolve yourself, is prior to having this realization that what I do for work and for others as it relates to funnels and advertising and marketing and selling online is directly tied and connected to God's plan and purpose for my life and my soul's purpose. And so prior to that revelation, I was feeling like I was being pulled in two different directions. Like, oh, my spiritual purpose is this and my business purpose is over here. And I felt this constant nagging and pulling in two directions. And I can't even begin to explain the challenge that came with that. And I don't know if you've ever felt that way or not, but I know I felt that way. And what happened was I would always say to myself, well, when I'm successful in business and make enough, then I'll allocate the time and the energy and the attention to God's purpose in my life. Mm-hmm. Right. And I never end up getting around to doing anything that had to do with what I felt like it was my spiritual purpose. And then, God revealed to me through people, specifically Dr. Todd, that I was doing what I'm called to do. What I do as it relates to marketing, advertising, and selling and helping other people share their expertise is my soul's purpose. And they're both one and the same, right? Kind of like you can't separate the spirit from the body, right? Unless you pass on and go to heaven, right? It's one and the same, right? The physical body and the spirit is one and the same thing, right? So if you are at a place where you feel like you are disconnected from your spiritual purpose or your spiritual things or what you do on Sunday and during the week, the other 6 days of the week you spend doing your business, I would challenge you to find a way of how is what you do at work connected to what God wants you to do here for his purposes. When I figured that out, the business took off like a rocket. And what happened from that was I began to attract a higher level client. One of the clients I helped go from 0 to $1 million in 11 months with his highest product being about $1,000. Okay. So you got to sell a lot of courses at $1,000 to make $1 million, right? Then the next person who came in went from 0. They were ready to throw in the towel to 10 million in 7 months. And they're in the financial services space, couldn't figure it out, hired all the wrong people, continued to flop after flop after flop, ready to be literally throw in the towel and until we connected. Or how about another lady who went from literally in the hole, she was in the hole, tens of thousands of dollars, to being in a place where she did, a 1.2 million in her first 3 weeks, and then went on to do 10 million in 6 months. And now has a company that's evaluated at $50 million. So
that's wild.
What happened from there is I just continued. I was resolved, right? Like I was resolved around my spiritual purpose and my business purpose. And they're one and the same, both connected. And so it allowed me to focus and go deep rather than look outside of what I'm doing and looking at shiny objects. So anything that doesn't align with helping experts share their expertise and monetize it and make an impact in other people's lives really became a distraction. It became very evident. The distractions became evident. And so I was able to really just focus. And as you know, where attention goes, energy flows. So where you focus, where you put your energy, that's where results will show up in your life. And so I continue to grow my business, our core business, our agency. And then we scaled that to be one of the first companies in the entire ClickFunnels community to generate over 25 million through a funnel for our business, not including the businesses that we've helped. I got the opportunity to support and get behind Tony Robbins and his launch, which was the biggest in internet history. And then I was able to, fun little fact about that, Russell bought mastermind.com for Tony and for Dean for $600,000. He negotiated it down to $600,000. And he was telling me about it. He's like, hey man, I've got this, I bought this domain for Tony and for Dean and they're looking for some affiliates. I know you're an affiliate. You'd be a great fit. And that day I bought mastermindbonus.com for $10. It was glorious.
That's amazing.
The fun we have with domain names. So it's actually one of the things that I'm known for is strategically buying domain names for good prices.
That's amazing.
So
and
there's
this shift in this season though. If I can jump in, like there's this shift where you realize like your purpose was going to happen by almost lifting and elevating other people's stories, where you have like your purpose to, share your story and realizing, oh, wow, this is going to happen. Like my purpose is going to happen to an even deeper level. The more that I funnel my time and energy into getting other people's stories, other people's transformative businesses out there. I can see that it seems like there was this like shift in that season. Does that seem accurate?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Well, the shift was help experts share their story.
Right.
And through sharing their story, they're able to monetize it. Right. And when they're able to monetize it, they're able to keep advertising and make a greater impact. Right. So yeah, it just became really crystal clear that that's who I serve. That's my purpose. I don't do this, that, and the next thing. And it was very clear the things that I wasn't interested in anymore. It became very clear that, that's not in alignment with helping experts get their message out, right? Or helping people who have a story that can transform another person's life and helping them get that out into the world, where in a way that they not just share the story, but actually monetize it. Because if you can't monetize your expertise, then you're going to grow weary. You're going to hit a roadblock. If it's a hobby and you just have a transformative story, but you're not able to make money from it, you're likely not going to keep sharing that story. You're not going to likely be able to serve people because you don't have the funds to do it. So you're going to have to go spend your time focused somewhere else to produce the revenue. That's the biggest challenge you see with, pastors, right? Pastors are well-intended. They have great messages and they feed their flock, and that's really their role. But, there's this whole world of, self-education, and the expert business is a whole nother animal for them that's foreign, right? If they knew how to monetize their expertise, their knowledge, their wisdom, their skills God's given them, they wouldn't have to worry about money, right? And you don't see what I don't see. And I grew up, right? I went to school for pastoral studies, went practically a minor in biblical studies. And I saw a lot of broke pastors who were just living off of donations, right? And I always thought that was brutal. I mean, I feel like pastors, people who feed the sheep or feed the flock, they should be the ones that they should be taken care of. They should be well fed. They should be provided for, and that's the job of the church. But beyond that, you do see pastors that do, have more than enough, right? They live in a opulent state or experience, and that's because typically they're selling information, they're selling knowledge, they're selling expertise, right? Or they're providing knowledge, expertise, or wisdom, right? In the form of books or courses or events or workshops or these type of things, right? So that was one glaring thing, kind of big problem that I saw. Thank you for joining me on Legacy Builders, and I would encourage you to come back to the next episode next week to get more clarity on your journey to launch your expertise online, scale your impact, and build your legacy. If you're ready to get the process started of launching your expertise online the right way, then I recommend go to launchexpertise.com, or maybe you're at a place where you're ready to really scale your expertise and your impact. Go to launchexpertise.com. There you'll have several options. Number one, you can get a free copy of my brand new book, The Entrepreneur Evangelist, which I share the secrets that have unlocked more than $300 million of results for my clients and partners in our own campaigns. You could also join a 33 days of coaching with me that's free, where I give you insights and wisdom on your journey to launching your expertise and scaling your impact over the course of 33 days. And that's worth at least $5,000, but for right now, you can get it for free. And lastly, if you're someone who wants to take the absolute faster, smarter path when it comes to launching your expertise online and scaling your impact, I'd recommend scheduling a call with my team where we can see how we can support you to crush goals and generate 7 or 8 figures yourself in a short period of time. We have more awards than nearly anyone in the entire community, and for good reason. And we would love to help you just like we've helped them. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Legacy Builders.